might have an instinct on what to do. And that's okay. Next project, follow your instinct. Next project, follow your instinct. This project, try to follow along with me as much as possible. I'm going to go through a very specific set and a very specific set of skills. The goal is to have a character made all in one piece from a cube. So that way we have all quads, with the exception of about 4 triangles. We don't have that mesh of sphere triangle, like the triangles on the top of the sphere. We don't have that. That's why we start with a cube. And it's relatively simple. That's also the reason why I started with Luigi and Mario, because those they're a very simple character. They're very easy to do. So almost all of you have an image plane set up. It looked like you were all set. So I'm going to start over with the box in case you missed the box. So here's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing the box. Today, we're probably, depending on how much time we have, I'll be checking my email every once in a while. We're going to get probably to the arms. We're probably going to get to the arms. Maybe even the hands, but I doubt it. But we're going to go relatively fast here. Then Friday, we'll get probably the hands done. And then Monday and Tuesday, we'll get the face. And then next Wednesday and next Friday, we'll be in the makerspace. So we might not be done by the time we get to the makerspace. I would love to get done before we get there. But also remember, last thing before we get going, we're doing Luigi because we're learning. We're doing Luigi or Mario because we're learning. So if it doesn't look perfect or if it doesn't look off, as long as you're getting the gist of the ideas, as long as you're getting a character with feet and legs and arms and a hand and a relative semblance of a face, you're in good shape. If it doesn't look pretty, but you have hands and fingers that bend and an eye socket and a nose and feet, you're going to get full credit, right? So I'm not grading you on your quality of how it looks. I'm grading that you're doing all the steps. The next project, I grade you on your quality. So don't get too obsessive on how it looks. I know you all want to do a good project all the time, but I just want to let you, right? This is our first character. It's just like how, like with the TIE Fighter. Remember, guys, when you turned in the TIE Fighter, I was like, if you have this, this, and this, and this, you have an A. And I gave you a bad example. I showed you, like, this is still an A because it has this, this, and this, this. Same thing goes for this thing. All right. So, please follow along. I have deleted the box just to kind of start fresh in case you haven't started over. But image planes are all set up. Most of you have your image planes in. You're all good. So the first step is to make that box. Create polygon primitives, cube options. And I might not have specified yesterday that you want to make the divisions 4, 3, 3, not the size. So the 1, 1, 1 here is the size. The 4, 3, 3 here is the divisions. So you want to make sure the divisions are the ones that are 4, 3, 3. And go ahead and hit create. All right, I'm going to pull this up. And I'm going to pull that in front of his face, right about here. And I'm in my 4 view. And you want this box to kind of just be a relative to the size of Luigi here. So I'm going to go about right here. And Luigi has what they call a weak chin. So I'm going to kind of match it up with kind of where it expands out. So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to kind of, what a weak chin is where the chin kind of folds into the neck. That's what they call a weak chin. Versus a double chin or a strong chin, right? It's not to say that you're weak or strong, it's just what they call it. You have a weak chin. She called me weak. All right, something like that. I'm still going to give a little bit of room for the neck. It's kind of hard to tell where the neck starts and the chin begins. And because I like using the hotkey, I'm going to go from 4 to 5. I'm not going to be using X-ray, and my screen doesn't usually use X-ray really well. But if you wanted to use X-ray, remember you have to do X-ray for every window, and you turn that on right here. But I'm usually going to do 4 and 5. Like 4 goes to wireframe, 5 goes back to gray. Okay. There we go. All right. Oh. All right. We're actually going to shape and mold the head last. We're going to get the body done first. So here's what you want to do. You want to go down to the bottom, and we're only going to grab the center two faces on the bottom. This face and this face. Why don't we grab 4? Because you want to use my rule. You want to use as little geometry as possible for as long as possible. So we're going to kind of keep this shape of this character pretty simple for a pretty long time. You might be instinctively wanting to grab these 4, and if you were doing a different character from a different explanation later, that might work. But just for the sake of our lesson, and because I've had experience with these things, we're going to just do 2 faces out of the center, and that's what we're going to extrude. That's going to become his neck, that's going to become his body, that's going to become his leg. So that's what we're doing, just 2 in the middle. All right. Everyone got those 2 faces in the middle? The bottom middle. The bottom middle. Everyone see what I'm grabbing? I know my screen's not as big as yours. Okay. We all there? Give me a thumbs up. Thumbs up. We're all there? Except for John. John, go faster. Okay. Now I'm going to extrude. I'm still recording, right? I'm going to extrude Command E. We're going to be doing a lot of extruding. So you could be going all the way up here to edit mesh and hit extrude, or I'm going to be doing a lot of Command E-ing. And then I'm going to hit the universal tool or the global tool, and I'm going to pull it down, green arrow. Boop, 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 boop. I'm going to pull it down to where his neck, actually, I'm not going to pull it down that far. I'm only going to pull it down about right here. And you notice mine's a little off. So I'm actually going to push it back, blue arrow. And then I'm going to need to scale it. So I'm going to hit the blue box and make it a little bit wider. So I'm not pulling it all the way down to cover the neck yet. I'm getting it ready to kind of cover it all the way down. So I'm going to go right about there. And it looks like I need to make it a little skinnier too. So the red box on the front view. So I know I'm doing this fast. I'm going to undo it and repeat everything I just did. Just for repetition's sake. Just because we want to make sure our first extrusion is perfect. And notice what I just did there. Class. Notice what I just did. When I undid my extrusion, I made sure I hit undo until that went away. Because if I just hit undo right here, my extrusion still exists. So remember. When you extrude, go all the way back until that extrusion is gone. Why isn't Mouse Pose working? Good. I know why you're not working. Let me do this. Bear with me 1 second. Sorry. Get that guy on. Get that guy. Yay! There we go. All right. Now I have my blinkers. Not broke. Okay. Whatever. All right. So I'm gonna hit extrude. Command E. I'm going to use my top view and pull it down. I want to, with my front and my side view, line this extrusion up so it's the right width and it's at the right location before I extrude any more. So I'm going to keep it pretty high, keeping it pretty close to the head. I'm going to do a little red box. And someone was asking, it looks like it's a little asymmetrical on this front view. I'm not going to worry about it. If it's a little asymmetrical, it's fine. And then on my front view here, I'm going to need to kind of push it back and actually get it a little bit bigger. Something like that. I'm not pulling it all the way down. I'm going to do another extrusion in 1 second. Just about there. Okay. Extrusion number 2. Command E. Global. Pull it down. And I'm going to get it to where the skin meets the shirt. And if you notice your side view and your front view are a little off, that's okay. Just kind of pick the average. Remember, our drawings are more of a guideline. And it looks like I don't need to make them bigger or skinnier. Right about here. Now, I didn't know this until I started doing LUIGI, Luigi's got a turtleneck. Mario does not. So Mario's going to do a little slightly different. But Luigi's got a nice little green turtleneck here. Did you guys notice that? Mario has no turtleneck. Mario actually doesn't have a neck. Mario's neck's kind of hidden, which is a little different, right? So if you're doing Mario, give me a slight neck. Do these two moves like here, just kind of approximate a neck, and just wait. For Luigi, we got to do another 2 more extrusions just for the turtleneck. Everyone see the problem right here? I got a little turtleneck thing. Who knew? Today I learned in school Luigi has a turtleneck. All right, so I'm going to do another extrusion where I resize it. Command E. This extrusion I'm only going to pull down a little of the blue arrow. Oops, I forgot to hit global. Sorry, a little of the green arrow after hitting global. And now this extrusion needs to go way wider to kind of create that lip of the, so red box to make it wider. And remember, when we're going with drawings, you can always overestimate. So I always like to make my extrusions go a little bit higher. And then my blue box, I got to kind of blue box it and blue arrow it to make it fit the turtleneck over here. Yeah, a little bit more. Oop. Up there. Yeah. Now that I've sized it, I'm going to do another extrusion. Command E, global, green arrow down. And because the turtleneck's kind of bulbous, right, I'm going to want to make it kind of fan out a little bit this way. So I go about halfway down for the turtleneck and kind of make it get a little bit bigger. And even though the drawing looks a little off here, I'm still going to make it a little bit wider here. So I'm going off the drawing already. Shame, Mr. G. It's a shame. The designer will be very upset. It's okay. The designer we don't know, so he's not going to yell at us. But I'm letting the side view override the front view right now. Right, one more extrusion. Command E, global, one more pull down. And now notice like the turtleneck kind of comes back in. So I'm going to pull it in. So I'm going to hit blue. And that kind of creates that little turtleneck effect, like that. So we have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 extrusions. And again, the side and the front view are a little off. That's okay. We just kind of average it. We work around it. We're flexible. So I've done 5 extrusions just for the neck. If you're doing Mario, you're going to do 2 extrusions because Mario doesn't have a turtleneck. Mario's head kind of overlaps into his body. It looks like he has no neck. So if you're doing Mario, do 2 extrusions from the bottom, just straight out. Okay. So this pattern is going to kind of continue. My first extrusion, I don't pull down. I size it up. And then my second extrusion, I pull down. And that's exactly what I'm going to do again. So my next extrusion, I want it to kind of be right here. This is called the trapezius muscle or your collarbone, right? This area over here, this area, if you're looking at me, the place where you like to get massaged. This place. Right? So we need to go from our neck to our shoulder. We're actually not going to go out to our shoulder. We're going to go, it's very nice and convenient that he has these suspenders because that's about where you want to extrude out for the body. So my next extrusion, I'm not going to pull it down too much. I'm going to hit Command E. I'm going to hit that little top view. I'm going to pull it down just a smidge. And now I'm going to make it match the blue suspenders on my front view by hitting the red box. So that is his trapezius. That's kind of, we're going to do the arms later. We're just doing the torso right now. So the arms begin where the suspenders end. Nothing? Okay. No worries. You have a day off. You have a day off from blah, blah, blah. Make another pumpkin if you want. All right. The other thing I might need to do is on the side view. So on the front view, I haven't pulled it down too far yet. I'm just going to pull it down right about there. The front view probably needs to come out a little bit. And it probably needs to be pulled forward a little bit. Yeah, actually, it needs to kind of come in. Okay. The next extrusion is the big one. The next extrusion is going to go down to his buttons. So if you're doing Mario, it's the same thing. You did one extrusion kind of out to where the suspenders lie. Mario and Luigi should be the same now, except Mario's a little fatter, Luigi's a little skinnier. Right? So now next extrusion, Command E, hit global. I'm going to pull it all the way down to the buttons, the top of the buttons. And then I'm going to red box it so that it gets wider, kind of following the pattern of the suspenders. But look at my side view. He has a robust chest. So I'm going to have to pull the blue box really, 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 really wide. And then I'm going to pull out the blue arrow so it kind of matches like that. So the back is not protruding out as much as the front. So that's what your front and side view look like. Something like that. And again, I'm not being exact with everything. I'm actually going to ignore this wrinkle in the cloth right here. Screw it. It's a detail I don't need. We're keeping this simple. Okay, my next extrusion is going to be the bottom of the buttons. The bottom of the buttons. It's fun to say. Say it. Bottom of the buttons. Command E. Boop, fix it. Global. I'm going to pull it down to the bottom of the buttons. And I'm going to make it wider again. And then it looks like I need to kind of make them a little fatter. And maybe pull a little bit more forward. Something like that. But not as much as the first one. So the second extrusion of the third extrusion of the torso. So to review, first extrusion was teeny, teeny, tiny. I just kind of sized it up to kind of match up to where the shoulder would be. Second extrusion, I went to the top of the buttons. Right? Oops. Okay. Oh, I lost my selection. Okay. Next. Next extrusion. Command E. Hit global. Let's go to where we think his belly button would be. Somewhere about there. I'm going to pull it down here. I'm not going to need to widen it too much on the side view, but on the front view, his rump starts to kind of come out. You guys see that? So I'm going to have to make it a little bit wider and maybe pull it out a little more like that. So here's a nice boxy look. Don't worry, we're going to round it out. But my next extrusion goes down to his belly button. Something like that. Maybe a little skinnier, a little bigger. You can kind of mess with it. There you go. Something like that. Okay. My next extrusion is going to be kind of like mid butt level. I know. We're gonna be looking at his crotch later. I know. Gross. So my next extrusion, Command E. Global. Gonna pull it down to right about where the butt is. And he's starting to get a little skinnier again. His gut is coming in. And his extrusion is going to be coming out like that. Oh, I'm going to kind of move it. There we go. So I got a blue arrow and blue box it a little bit. Blue box, blue arrow. Now we're going to do one more extrusion down to the crotch. We're going to Command E, global. We're going to pull it down, and this time we're going to get skinny. Skinny, 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 to right there. Oh, and I got to do my side. Don't neglect the side view. I'm going to get this pretty skinny too, like that. So the last extrusion, I'm going to undo it. Last extrusion. Gonna hit Command E. Gonna pull it down to about here. Green arrow to about right there. Red box to about right there, to about his crotch. And then check your side view. You really got to kind of make it skinny on the side view to kind of be about the width of the leg. Like so. Golden. Yes, so even in today's beauty standards, Luigi has a thigh gap. Mario does not, however. He has a little bit. Luigi has a thigh gap. Sorry if that was inappropriate. It's on tape. You have evidence. You can sue me later. All right. Now again, we're going to keep this simple. You could cut a line right here and have more faces. You could do a lot, but we're going to make his leg just one square chunk, just to have a very simple version of Mario or Luigi. So our next step is we've been extruding the bottom two faces this entire time. Now we're only going to extrude one face right now for the leg. And that face is going to be this side. Make sure that you're selecting the right-hand side, not the left-hand side. Sorry. It's actually Luigi's left-hand side, but it's our right-hand side. It's right here. So we're going to extrude out one leg. And we're going to hit Command E. And we're going to hit Global again. And we're going to pull it down, 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 down. Now, some of you might be noticing a problem. What's the problem? What's the problem with my extrusion? There's two problems, actually. Someone name a problem. It's slanted. And what shape is it? Is it a square? It's a trapezoid, right? So we want to kind of get this to be a square again, because his legs are rather square. And we need to get this flat, okay? If you're the type of person that likes it very precisely flat, you're going to have to do the snap trick. And I'm going to show you the snap trick just for funsies. So I'm going to have to go to edge mode. So if you want it to be perfectly flat, I'm going to go right here. I'm going to choose edge. I'm going to grab this edge right here. I'm going to turn on my snap to grid. I'm going to hit move, or W. When I pull it down, it snaps to one of the grids. So either snap it to that grid or snap it to that grid. Either way. Okay? Then, I'm going to have to get the other edge. And I'm going to have to go to my 4 view, sorry. I'm going to have to grab this guy. And again, I'm going to pull it down until it snaps. Sorry, it's right there. Snap to grid is that one. Upper set of menus. It looks like that. Don't forget to turn it off when you're done. You could do it vertex by vertex, but because I know that edge is relatively flat, I can do it by edge this time. Last time with the TIE Fighter, we did it with vertexes, but since I know those two edges, those two vertexes are at the same spot, I just chose edge to keep it simple. Okay. Next, I'll leave to it. And then don't forget to turn it off. So snap is right here. And you pull the edge up or down until it snaps to the grid. And it's way too low. We're going to have to make more extrusions. So once I turn snap off, I'm going to pull it up. pretty much all the way back up to the crotch. About there. Now here's the part that drives beginning animation students crazy. This is a challenge one to grasp. You tend to, when you start modeling, focus in on one view. This is a mistake. So if I look just at the front view, my leg looks perfect. Yeah? If I look at just my front view, that's this view, my leg is sweet. It's right on line, maybe a little bit bigger. Hit scale. There you go. Now it matches up perfectly. But if I look at my side view, it's way off. Okay? And because I have that face selected, right? It's gonna shrink both sides. So what I need to do is I need to go to edge mode. And I need to grab this edge. This edge needs to be skinnier. Everyone see the edge I'm talking about? This edge needs to get smaller so that his leg extrusion matches the width of his leg. So I just grab the edge and I hit scale and I scale it in until it matches my side view. Bam! Someone's phone's blowing up. If you want to be precise, you could do another snapping so that's a perfect square, but I kind of like it a little trapezoidal. But if you wanted to kind of make it more square, so that's fine too. I kind of like it like this, a little wider on the outside. But you could use snap with vertexes to make it perfect again. So now, by using that edge, we're golden. Okay. Instead of a shorter flex time. Huh? Yeah. They should just give you an extra long, no flex time, all fourth period. Okay. Your instinct might be to just make your leg that big. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's bad. Okay? We're going to make a few more extrusions and using these as a guideline, but they're going to be relatively straight. I'm going to kind of ignore, they kind of gave Luigi like a baggy, ridgy look with his things. I'm going to kind of ignore that. Okay, so I'm going to do several extrusions. I'm going to extrude, Command E. I'm going to hit that global tool again. Green arrow. Down about to his mid-thigh. Somewhere right about there. It looks like I need to kind of reposition it a little bit. His leg fans out just a little bit, so I'm going to kind of scale it in maybe. Maybe move it over to the right a little bit. Looks like it gets a little skinnier because it's Luigi. Mario has, if you're doing Mario, Mario gets a little fatter. Just a little bit. Very subtle. Okay, I'm going to get to his knee, and we're going to make 3 extrusions for the knee for reasons you don't know yet. So I'm going to go Command E for extrude, global. I'm going to pull it down to about the top of his knee. It looks like, again, I need to kind of get it skinnier. I need to kind of pull it over to the right. And it looks pretty good on this side. Now, when we put a skeleton in him later, we're going to need a few extra sets of edges and vertexes at the knee. So we're going to make 2 more extrusions very close together so that we have that geometry. So this is something you're going to take on faith right now, but when you get to actually making the skeleton, you'll notice the difference. So I'm going to hit Command E, boop. I'm going to hit global. I'm going to pull it down. Looks like I'm pretty good. Just about yay big. And then I'm going to extrude again one more time. Command E, global. Pull it down again just a little bit. So you have kind of this set of 3 faces somewhere around the knee area. That's going to really help us out. And again, it looks like he's kind of fanning out a bit. He's kind of got like a bell-bottom effect going on with his legs. That's fine, something like that. Okay. Now my next extrusion is going to go all the way down to where the shoe meets the pant cuff. So Command E. Gonna hit that. Boop. Pull it down to about there. And he has this kind of bell-bottom effect with his pants. So I'm going to pull it wide. I'm going to kind of pull it forward here, something like that. Now, I am going to ignore the pants here, because whether it's his pants or his shoe, the actual, right, like my pants are here, right? So I have almost the same exact effect going on with me if you want to see my pants, right? But my ankle and my foot are still there, right? It's still kind of one piece of body, just has two different pieces of clothing. In Photoshop later, when we get to UV mapping, we're going to learn how to just kind of color over that. But we're not going to model that difference. We're going to just kind of model the shape, the overall shape, and later we're going to color it. Okay? So now I'm going to make another extrusion down to the bottom of his heel. Command E. Global. I'm going to pull it down to his heel. Yeah, we'll keep it simple. All the way down to his heel. And I'm going to ignore the front view, and I'm going to pay mostly down here to the side view. Right about there. If you wanted to, you can do two extrusions. You can do one here, pull it back a little bit, Command E. Maybe make it a little bit wider, Command E. And then pull it all the way down. If you wanted to kind of give it one little more sculpted shape. Or you can just do one extrusion all the way down to the bottom. So I gave you an option. You can do one or two. Your choice. Dealer's choice. All right. Next, we're going to make an extrusion out for his foot right here. And if you have one face, you're going to, here's how you're going to do it if you have one face. Command E, hit global, pull it out about here, and then this is if you have one face. I have two faces, but I'm showing you what to do if you have one face. Command E again, hit global, and pull it out, and then shrink it down. And that's the shoe. If you have two faces, you can do something like this. If you have two faces like me, I can hit Command E, global, and pull forward about right here. And then with the edges, I can kind of pull this edge forward. And that kind of matches that shape there. And I can take this little vertex here and kind of get that matched up. And then if I wanted to make these skinnier as well, to kind of make it look rounder, I can hit scale and kind of mess with the shape here, however I wanted to. And that's our boxy Luigi. Okay. Questions? One moment. Huh. Mario is slightly off of Luigi. That's a bummer. Question, Xavier. Did you have two faces or one face? Two. You're just gonna extrude once. Sorry, let me get back to one mode. There you go. You're gonna extrude once, and then you're gonna reshape it by going to edge mode. And you got this edge and this edge you can kind of mess with, and just kind of have a shoe shape. Again, so he looks a little boxy, but if you put it in 3 mode, it rounds it out quite nicely. And this is because we don't have a lot of geometry. And what I mean, again, when I say a lot of geometry, the more edges and vertexes we have, that's what you say a more geometry. If you have a lot of edges and vertexes, it's called complex geometry. So we want to keep this geometry simple because we're going to rely on smooth mode a little bit. So while he looks boxy in one mode, and we're kind of like, kind of looks like Minecraft. When you hit 3 mode, it rounds out those corners, and it actually looks pretty much like Luigi. We're going to have to do a trick later to kind of fix the shoe part. You can see how it kind of overlaps, but we're going to do that later. Oh my goodness, we haven't done something in a really long time that we should have. What should we do? Let's do a save. Let's do a Command S. Command S. Let's do a Command Shift S. And let's call this Luigi, or if it's Mario, put Mario. Luigi, and put, what am I putting? Put, let's say leg done. Ish. The beginning of the leg is done. You're right there. Got stuck at the neck, so I walked you through the torso. Those people that have the torso, if you didn't finish the leg right now, that's okay. You can follow along with the arm. For everyone else, we're going to do the arm right now too. So whether you have the leg or not, as long as you have 3 extrusions for the body, we can make the arm and you can continue later with the leg. Okay? All right. So as long as you have some of the torso, you can keep doing this, and that's where I got everyone. So like, I don't want to call it names, but people I have helped during the break, don't focus on the leg right now. You have your torso. I see your body. Focus with me on the arm, and then we'll get the leg down some other time. So now try to follow along again with the arm. It's the same exact process, except instead of going down, I'm going out to the side. Okay? The same exact process, except I'm going out to the side. For the arm, we're actually going to use 2 faces. But you said keep it simple, G. Well, we're going to need those faces, right? So for the arm, we're actually going to make a hexagon. Okay? So, here we go with the arm. So I've got my leg. Do you know what? Let's do one more step first. Let's cut him in half right now. Let's only have half of him exist. So let's go to face mode. Face. And go to your front view. That's this view. Double click on your arrow. That's right here. Your arrow right here. Double click on your arrow. And make sure camera base selection is unchecked. Make sure you're in face mode. And delete that. Bam. Delete that. Okay. The left hand, all the faces to the left. So you have a half of him. So once again, you got to make sure you double click your arrow and make sure camera base selection is turned off. Make sure you're in face mode. And you're just going to drag a box over the left-hand side, our left-hand side, his right-hand side, and hit delete. It looks like I missed one face at the crotch. So to make sure I get rid of it all, like go to your perspective view, I missed one face. There you go. So he's nice and hollow. Because remember, we're going to do that symmetrical thing. Okay. His arm is going to be these 2 faces. Select those 2 faces. His arm is going to be those 2 faces. Now, remember with the TIE Fighter and remember with the tricks, we're going to do the first extrusion, we're not pulling out. The first extrusion, we shrink and we reshape it, just like before. All the tricks are kind of repetitive, right? So I'm hoping by the time you get to the next project, your own character, you've got all the tricks, and you can make an awesome character. So I'm going to hit Command E, and then I'm going to shrink it in. So I want to do a universal shrink, and don't hit global. So once again, it's like these 2 faces. Everyone see the 2 faces? Double check your neighbor. Does your neighbor see those 2 faces? Tell them those 2 faces. I'm going to hit Command E. Command E for extrude. I'm going to hit the 1 scale box click any scale box once, that activates the center one. I can't get to that center scale box unless I click on one of these. Then I'm going to hit that center scale button and scale it in. Or I can do a little green and a little red, right? I can do a little bit of it. Something like that. And it's not exactly a hexagon. Undo, Alex, undo, 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 undo. Oh, 1, 2, 3, there you go. Good catch, good catch. Good catch. All right. Now that you have this little shape, we want to make it a hexagon. Remember, a hexagon turns into a circle nicely. So we're going to turn this into a hexagon by going to edge mode, right-click, edge. I'm going to grab that hexagon, that edge. I'm going to hit scale. Can't we do this by vertexes? You could. I'm just going to scale in this one. It's already looking like a good hexagon. And then this guy here, just going to kind of scale, move over to the left a little bit. That's a good enough hexagon. So with two edges, the top edge and the bottom edge, it has a nice, decent spot. It does not have to be a perfect hexagon. Now, I paid no attention to its actual location of where it is on the body, and I might need to do that next. So first thing, do a flat extrusion, reshape it so it looks like a hexagon. And again, I did that by going to edge mode after I did the extrusion, and I can move these vertices around. Next, go to face mode, and his arm is a little low. And I might have to go to 4-view or X-ray, and his arm's a little small. I kind of made his arm a little smaller. So I'm going to move this up a little bit, maybe move it back a little bit. So it kind of comes way, way, way up here. I got to move it over. And it looks like I need to make it a little bit bigger. So I'm going to hit R, and I'm going to kind of scale it so that it's a little bit bigger, maybe a little smaller. There you go. So I'm just kind of scaling it until it kind of matches the arm shape. Yeah, that's pretty good. As close as you can get it. There you go. Okay. I'm not sweating the details too much because the next one the next extrusion I make, I'm gonna fine tune it so it really lines up with the side view of the arm right here. Okay. Okay. So now that I kind of have it in a general location and it's generally shaped as a hexagon, now I'm gonna make an extrusion. Command E, and I'm gonna pull it out globally, red arrow. And again, I'm going to make a few adjustments. Once again, it's slanted. Once again, it's in a slightly different location. So I'm going to kind of pull it up a little bit, like so. And then I'm going to want to flatten it again. I could do the lock trick, or I can hit this scale. If I just on my extrusion tool, if I'm in global and I hit that scale, I can kind of eyeball a flat look here. But I'm going to do the make it perfectly flat trick with the edges by going to snap to grid, and I'm going to do it by vertex this time. So each, are they flat? They're flat. I'm going to do it by edge. I'm going to go by edge. Edge. I clicked up here on the snap to grid, and I'm going to make them perfectly flat. 1, 2, 3. And then when it's perfectly flat, I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to push it back in. I'm going to go back to face mode. Push it back in. Somewhere right about there. And I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Mr. G, this looks horrible. Can we fix this? Kind of. We're going to fix that right now. So before we get back to the arm, we're just going to make a few adjustments here. The problem with why it looks a little weird and distorted was because we were modeling the front view with the side view, and the front view is kind of drawn as if it's circular. So if you're looking at me at head on, there's going to be some dips there, right? But we're going to kind of readjust our arm right here so that we keep the turtleneck when we do a few things. So what we're going to need to do is we need to go to our perspective view, and there's a few edges we're going to mess with right now. So I'm going to go to edge mode, and I'm going to grab this top edge by his collarbone. You guys see it? Right? There's actually two edges. There's this one here I'm going to call the shoulder edge. This edge I'm going to call the collarbone edge. This one right here. And I'm going to go back to my front view, and I'm going to move it so that it matches the suspender a little bit more. Not too far up. So I'm going to kind of pick a happy medium. Something like that. I'm also going to scale it in. I'm going to make it a little skinnier. I'm going to hit scale. There you go. Something like that. That's going to give me a lot more room to move this shoulder edge now. So now that I've moved this, let's call it the collarbone edge, I can take the shoulder edge and I can kind of move it up, and now that looks way more like the picture. Oh, too far. All right. So I can kind of get like that. It's okay that we have this divot right here because we really wanted to make this turtleneck. So if we have a little bit, if we're not perfectly along with that drawing, that's fine. If you didn't do any of that, it's okay. It's okay if you didn't do any of those parts. Okay. Back to the arm. Okay. The arm here, one face, two face. Now I'm ready to extrude. And just like before, I'm going to need a few extra pieces of geometry around the elbow. And I also know I'm going to need a few extra pieces of geometry around the wrist. So don't just do one, don't go like this. Command E, there, boom, my arm. It might look right, but it's going to cause problems later. So what I'm going to do is select those two faces for the arm, and you're going to hit Command E. I'm going to hit global. I'm going to pull it out to about right there, about the mid, like where his bicep might be. And I'm going to kind of scale it. Green box, it gets a little skinnier. Just a little bit. And I have to kind of position it. And then if you want to take some liberty and give him like a little bit more of a bicep on your top of your perspective view, you can give him a little more of a bicep if you kind of pull it out. It's not in the drawing. I'm going to use my imagination. Go figure. So I'm going to give him a little bit more of a bicep. Just a little bit. By taking the blue box here and kind of, I don't want to make him buff, right? I don't want to go crazy. Just a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to go about to the top of his elbow, which is about right there. So I'm going to hit Command E. Again, I'm going to hit global. Red arrow to about right there. And maybe make his arm kind of come down even smaller. And then I'm going to do a little blue box here. Now, if you mess up, like I think I kind of messed up right now. I'm like, oh, I made it too small. Right? You can always go back and mess with the edges. So I can kind of pull this to be a little wider. Mr. G messed up. I did it on purpose. Right? And then if you mess up and need to kind of resize something, you can go to edge mode, double click those edges, and I can resize this extrusion by just double clicking the edges. And now that fits a lot more. There you go. So just because you've moved on to other extrusions doesn't mean you can't adapt. Okay. We're going to do 2 extrusions for the elbow and then go all the way to the wrist. So I'm going to do 2 small extrusions just so I have some more bendy bits. So I'm going to hit Command E. Global. I'm going to pull it out about here. Looks like I need to scale it a little bit. And then 1 more extrusion so I have a little bit, so I have some geometry for the bendy bits. Boop. About right here. Yeah. And then I'm going to go about mid forearm. Extrude, Command E. Hopefully you're detecting the pattern. Extrude, pull it out, scale, adjust, extrude, scale, adjust, scale, adjust. 1 last extrusion to the wrist, Command E. Something like that. That last extrusion for the wrist, I'm going to make it skinny-ish. Okay. So if you look at it from the perspective view, it looks something like that. The front view looks something like that. The side view looks something like that. Okay, we're in a really good spot. 1 last thing. Yep. Just go a little bit more to the wrist. 1 more extrusion to the wrist, you're good. 1 more extrusion. We're going to do the hand, but not the fingers. But before we do the hand, not the fingers, everyone, let's be rebels. Let's fight the power. Raise your fist in the air. Let me see 30 fists in the air. 28, 24 fists in the air. Let me see. Do it. Okay? Look at your fist. Trip out on it. You can do it, Chad. You can do it, John. I know you work on your puppet. Okay, look at your fist like that. Now go ahead and make a karate chop. Fist. Karate chop. Punch. Chop. Punch. Chop. Look at it the other way. Punch. Chop. Look how much skinnier your hand gets when it goes with the chop. Fist. Chop. Is Mario in a chop or a fist? He's in a fist. That's actually bad. That's actually bad. We want Mario to be in a chop. Why? Well, they probably model Mario in a fist, because all Mario does in the video game is this. Right? I guess he throws a fireball. But I believe in like the early Mario video games, he was always in fist mode. And he never did anything articulate with his fingers. But we are going to be fancy pants people, and we're going to model Mario like this. Nice and spread. So we're going to have to use our imagination to kind of make the hand. So we're going to want to make ours skinny. Now, if you notice, if you go to like perfect karate chop mode, it kind of creates a nice straight line from the top, and this is the line that kind of comes in. Now, with Luigi, he has a very fat arm, so we're just going to have to imagine that it comes in this way. You guys see that? Top of my hand, almost straight. Bottom kind of comes in. Right? That's what we're going to do. And that's going to be the last thing we do today. All right. Here we go. It's fist time. Or chop time. All right, once again, we're still working with those 2 faces. 1, 2. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the lip of the glove. The lip of the glove. So that's going to be several extrusions. So I hit Command E. Command E. I'm going to pull it out just a little bit. Just a little bit. And now I'm going to make it, it's just like the X-Wing, just like the TIE Fighter's wing. So the first extrusion, I only pull out, oops, I should be in global. I only pull out just a little red arrow, just a little. And now I'm going to go green box, and I'm going to go blue box. So this kind of creates that lip, but I'm not pulling it out too far. I don't want to go like that. I want it to kind of be rather abrupt. So it's very skinny. That first extrusion is very skinny. All right, extrusion number 2, Command E, global, red arrow, right about there. I'm not going to scale it at all. Extrusion number 3, we're going to close it up now. Command E, global. I'm going to pull it out just a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. And then a little green box. And then a little blue box. And that kind of creates that lip. The lip of the ridge of the glove. So to make it look like he's wearing a glove and there's like a little seam to it and all that stuff. All right. Next, we're going to do 2 extrusions. Actually, I lied. We're going to do 1 extrusion and an edge loop. Hit Command E. Last extrusion, global, pull it out, red arrow, all the way to the top of that knuckle. You might want to pull it up a little bit too. And then shrink it. Now, what are you using on the guide? You guys see that crease right here? You want it to go to about the top of the knuckle to about the width of that crease. So you're going to kind of pull it, shrink it, right about, maybe a little fatter. Mario and Luigi have big fat hands, so something like that. So that's going to kind of reflect the karate chop. Notice I didn't do any blue box. The hand stays just as wide. So I'm not doing any more blue box. I might even make it a little bit wider. Something like that. And then, actually, that's all we're going to do. Tomorrow, or Friday, we will do an edge loop right here. Okay. So once again, that last step was 1 extrusion all the way to here. We're going to add an edge loop on Friday. And then we're going to do fingers on Friday. And fingers might take us the whole time. Fingers take a while. And again, if you're looking at it, you're like, that looks kind of bad. Remember, 3 mode, doesn't look so bad. Like the arm's kind of round, right? The leg's kind of round. We got to fix this part right here still. The gut looks pretty good. We're going to do a few more tricks to the gut. And then we'll be modeling the head. But we're making good progress. So before we go, let's do a save as. One last save as. Go ahead and hit save. Or not. And you're going to go File, Save Scene As. And now we're going to call it arm done. We had Luigi leg done. Now we're going to Luigi arm done. Save. So tomorrow, again, we'll do the fingers. All right.